This morning on Say Yes to You, how giving back can build your self-love. Okay, next Thursday, many of us will be putting the turkey in the oven and getting ready to watch the Cowboys Thanksgiving Day game. At halftime, the Jonas Brothers will perform as part of the Salvation Army Red Kettle Kickoff. That partnership between the Cowboys and the Salvation Army was Charlotte Jones' idea, and the Thanksgiving halftime deal was sealed at a meeting in New York 27 years ago with TV executives, Charlotte, and her dad, Jerry. After the meeting, she and her dad got in the elevator. He grabbed her hand, and here's what happened next.
And he's like, "Do you have any idea what you just got?" And I was like, "I got my first nationally televised halftime show." And he's like, "No, you just got over $15 million in advertising for the Salvation Army." He said, "Do you have any idea what you're doing?" And I looked at him and I said, "No, but I will by Thanksgiving."
Every Thanksgiving, when we sit down to watch the Cowboys, we can say thank you to Charlotte Jones, who single-handedly went to the TV executives in the NFL 27 years ago and created the Thanksgiving halftime show. To date, that effort has funneled almost $3 billion to the Salvation Army. Giving back, volunteering, is a great way to really, you receive more than you give.
There is nothing more rewarding than finding purpose in what you do. And I think a lot of times when we struggle, which we all struggle, and we all have our rainy days, that finding something that is beyond yourself helps elevate your own sense of self-worth.
Charlotte, a lot of people look at you and think you have it all. Does Charlotte have times when she struggles with self-love, when she struggles with feeling bad about herself, when she struggles with forgiving herself?
The short answer is yes. The more powerful answer is, I have a huge imposter syndrome. Every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, should you really be here? Did you earn this? Do you deserve this? I never got my MBA. So a lot of times I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, I'm not smart enough to be doing these things.
You and I were talking about our kids earlier.
Yes.
Because we love our kids. And one of the areas where I find where women do struggle with the sense of themselves is, was I a good enough mom? Am I a good enough mom? Is that something you relate to at all?
I used to laugh that I would come home from work and my tiara would get knocked off with the first soccer ball that hit me. My son came home from college, about a month ago, and I was making him breakfast as I always did. I always liked the big breakfast mom because I was not very good at the big dinner mom thing. So it was like, okay, I can do the pancakes, awesome. But I burned the toast all the time. Well, here he comes back home, and I burnt the toast again. I'm like, I cannot not burn this toast. And he's like, Mom, I wouldn't be home if you didn't burn the toast.
So what do you do when you find yourself second guessing yourself?
I think I share it. And I talk about it. I talk about it with the people at work. I talk about it with my friends of, how am I going through this, especially the friends that I went to school with. I went to Stanford, so I was fortunate enough to surround myself with some pretty impressive people. And when I expose that vulnerability of, I don't know if I should be here, and they're kind of like, oh, yeah, right. They laugh a little, but then they also go, wait, all right, why do you think that? Where are you going with that?
And so for you, sharing your vulnerability, saying, I feel insecure.
Yeah.
I'm second guessing myself with people you can trust.
Yeah.
That's a tool.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, it was really difficult, early on, especially over the past few years, little trauma in my life of like, okay, how do you pull yourself back together? Because, it was, as much as I speak about perfection not being an option, that progress is the move. For myself, I saw it very differently. My goal, perfection is what I'm supposed to go achieve, not the progress in myself. And I had a really great friend share with me. She gave me this amazing gift, this piece of pottery, that kintsugi, and I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a Japanese pottery, and back in the day, they had this wonderful pottery. Well, the pieces that were broken, they would fill the cracks with gold and put them back together again, and they would become more valuable with the cracks and the gold in them than the piece that was never broken. And so I have a piece of that in my office, and I have one piece of it at home as a reminder of how do you fill your cracks together? Because we all have them. And what do we do to infuse those cracks, to pull ourselves back together? And maybe it's our friends, maybe it's people closest to us, or maybe it's our prayer, whatever it is that makes us even stronger and more beautiful than we were before.
If you're going to indulge Charlotte and just say, I am going to let Charlotte do whatever Charlotte wants to today and just enjoy myself and my life, what is it?
I wish I was a better practicer of that. That is always on my list to figure out how to do a little more of that self-love.
For you, what is the value of self-love?
Well, just your phrasing of that, I think it's so important because we all get in that I need to, I'm supposed to, and we forget to say, what is it that I want to? If we can figure out a way that when we wake up, it's like, what do I want to do today? What do I want to be? What do I want to become? And what's my own path to get there? Not what my mom said, not necessarily what my church said, but what is it that with all this influence in our life, what have we decided is the best path that creates our authentic self, and how do we take our next step in order to achieve that?
Real quick, what's next for Charlotte?
Yes. What's next for Charlotte? I'm going to practice what I just said. I want to take some time to reflect, to figure out the next step for Charlotte. How about that?
That's good. Thank you so much, Charlotte.
Awesome.
Go Cowboys.
Thank you, Jane. Yay!
She is so inspiring. I really enjoyed talking to her. This Sunday, the Cowboys head to Minneapolis to take on the Minnesota Vikings. You can, of course, go to DallasCowboys.com for their full schedule and more info, and watch Thanksgiving Day for that special halftime that Charlotte created.